The night shift. I'll never forget the night it all happened. I was a first-year intern at St. Agatha's, a massive teaching hospital tucked away in a part of the city most people avoided after dark. Interns always got stuck with the graveyard shift, late nights in an empty hospital, monitoring patients while the seasoned doctors slept or vanished into their offices. It was a rite of passage, they said. There were 3 of us on call that night, me, Anika, and Raj. We'd been through a grueling day of rounds and surgeries, but things had quieted down by the time the clock hit midnight. The hospital's long, sterile corridors were eerily quiet, save for the occasional beeping of a heart monitor or the shuffle of a janitor's mop down the hall. Anika was the first to mention the story. "You know about room 423, right?" she asked casually as we sat at the nurse's station, sipping stale coffee to keep ourselves awake. Raj chuckled, shaking his head. "Oh, not this again." I was new and curious. "What's the story?" Anika leaned in, her face illuminated by the glow of the computer screen. "A few years ago, a patient died in 423 under mysterious circumstances. No one really knows what happened. The staff said they heard weird noises coming from the room, whispers, footsteps, things moving on their own. They say her spirit never left." I smiled nervously, trying to play along. "That sounds like something out of a bad horror movie," but Raj's face darkened. "It's real. I've heard some of the senior residents talking about it. No one likes going near that room on the night shift." We all laughed it off, but the mood shifted. The silence of the hospital seemed heavier, pressing down on us. The clock ticked on. Around 2 a.m., a call came in over the intercom. "Room 423. Code blue." We stared at each other. There wasn't supposed to be anyone in 423. It had been closed off for months. "Maybe it's a glitch," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. But Raj and Anika exchanged uneasy glances. "Only one way to find out," Anika said, standing up and grabbing her stethoscope. We walked down the dimly lit hallway, the fluorescent lights flickering ominously overhead. The hospital felt like a maze, every corner turned leading into another long, empty corridor. Finally, we reached room 423. The door was slightly ajar. Anika pushed it open cautiously. Inside, the room was dark, save for the faint glow of the city lights through the window. The bed was made, the machines powered down. Everything looked as it should, empty. "No one's here," I said, relief flooding my voice. Then, we heard it. A soft, almost imperceptible whisper. "Help me." We froze. The whisper came again, clearer this time. It was coming from the far corner of the room, near the old, unused heart monitor. The hairs on my arms stood up as we turned toward the source of the sound. There, sitting in the corner, was a figure. A woman, pale as death, wearing a hospital gown. Her eyes were wide, unblinking, staring straight at us. Anika gasped, stumbling back. "Oh my God!" Before we could react, the lights flickered violently, plunging the room into darkness. We were paralyzed with fear, standing in that suffocating blackness, waiting for something, anything, to happen. And then the lights came back on. The woman was gone. I don't know how long we stood there, but it felt like an eternity. When we finally snapped out of it, Raj sprinted out of the room, and Anika and I were right behind him. We didn't stop running until we reached the nurse's station. None of us spoke a word for the rest of the shift. The next day, we tried to rationalize it. Maybe we were just tired, maybe it was some trick of the light. But deep down, we knew what we had seen. We filed a report about the false alarm in room 423, but when we checked the logs, there was no record of the code blue. No one else had heard it. From then on, none of us ever volunteered for the night shift again. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm on call and the hospital is quiet, I swear I can still hear it. A faint whisper, coming from down the hall. "Help me."